Hi everyone, nubkeks here, and welcome back to Nub Raids. The faction crypt for the Shadowkin faction here in Raid Shadow Legends has opened just today. So in today's video, I'm going to go through all of the epics and all of the legendary champions in this faction and rank them based off of how good they are going to be in faction wars. My ranking system, by the way, I'm kind of harsh with this, okay? I think you got to be harsh because you got to make real decisions here. I like to start everyone off in the C tier. If they're absolutely terrible and I would never build them under any circumstances, they go straight into the D tier. These are the never builds. B tier is if they do something kind of okay, they might have some use. A tier is for like the champions that are doing stuff really good. And the S tier is going to be the 5 best champions for this faction crypt. In other words, if you came in and said, nubkeks, here are all the legendaries, all the epics, you have every single one unlocked on your account now, you have them all fully geared, fully booked, ready to go, which 5 would I take in to smash through all of the faction crypt, right? The absolute top 5 best. So, yeah, let's, right before we dive in, actually, 2 things. First of all, we just hit 3,000 subs on the channel, so thank you so much for that, everyone. I'm glad that you're enjoying the channel. And yeah, stick around for all sorts of other content. By the way, let me throw this out there too. Do you guys want champion guides on any specific champions? Let me know if there are specific champions that you want to see. And if I have them, if I can show them to you, I will do that. I love doing champion guides for the stuff that you want to see. Also, this is important, guys. Blindingly white screen, I know, I'm sorry. But this is the final boss here. There's a bunch of different faction war bosses, and this final boss, the red boss, is actually kind of scary in the Shadowkin crypt. It's going to be a problem. So he has an A1 that attacks one enemy and ignores their defense. So he smacks people individually and absolutely claps them. Staggering recovery, then he has a 4-turn cooldown that removes all debuffs from him, puts True Fear on one enemy, and then a stun debuff on all the other enemies, and you can't resist it. And then his turn meter also gets filled whenever he's attacked. So he will take turns, he will do this AoE stun with a fear, he will do these individual, ignoring defense hits. So it's quite a problem. And this is from Ayumi's Love website. I think it's good. The general recommendations here are bringing in ally protection, heal, revive, block, debuff. This is the same boss from Dwarves, Lizardmen, Undead Hordes, which are all reasonably difficult factions, in big part due to this particular boss. So, without any further ado, let us dive in and let's start with the epics. I'm going to describe anyone I put into a high tier. We'll look at their kit. Anyone that's staying in these lower tiers, I might mention it briefly or not at all, just to keep the video a bit shorter. First up, we have Mr. the Frog, Taragi the Frog, the man himself. Taragi the Frog, he is going straight into the A tier for me. And by the way, reminder, S tier, I'm not saying this for any particular reason, spoiler warning here. But the S tier, we're putting in the top 5 champions at the end. If we jump into the game, Taragi the Frog, what is he doing? Why is he in the A tier? Why is he so good? HP-based champion, so he's big, he's tanky, can stay alive. His decreased attack on his A1, great, again for that boss, useful A1. He has an AoE provoke on his A2, so he's actually going to help you with the waves as well. The big draw, though, is his A3, which books to a 3-turn cooldown that puts a big shield on everyone else and ally protection on them, and then it heals him up as well, and he heals more for every poison on the enemy. He also puts poisons on enemy whenever he's attacked as well. So yeah, he's just going to come in, he's going to help you get through the waves, then he's going to get to the boss, he's going to put shields and ally protection on your team, help you survive through those ignore defense hits. He's going to decrease attack on the boss. He is basically everything you need. He's an incredible champion. And yeah, slight spoiler for the S tier, but there you go. He's super good. Next up, we have Mr. Hotatsu, a defense-based epic, Mr. Hotatsu. And he, for me, actually is going straight up into the A tier as well. Hotatsu is another fantastic champion. Let's see what he does. I actually don't have him on my main account. His A1 has a chance to apply leech. This is going to be really big, right? When you smack that boss, and there's a lot of good damage dealers in it. Well, actually not that many, you'd be surprised. But there's good damage output in the Shadowkin faction. Leech is going to help you stay alive. He has an AoE, decrease attack. Again, fantastic for helping you get through those waves. Then he has increased defense and continuous heal buff on all allies. So increased defense won't help you with the boss, but it will help you get through the waves. The continuous heal will definitely help you. And then he has a wonderful passive, which removes a debuff from him at the start of every turn. So he'll remove True Fear or Stun, whichever one the boss puts on him, he'll remove that, no problem. And then he can get, placing these heals or decrease attack or leeches. He'll start placing that stuff out on your team to keep them alive. So I think he does warrant that A tier placement. Not as good as Taragi, I don't think, but still really, really good. Next up, we have Chani. Chani's a bit of a weird one. Chani, I think Chani's just going to stay in the C tier for me. She has a HP burn, which is okay. Poison sensitivity. Combo's okay with Taragi. He's putting out poison. She can apply poison sensitivity. But she's got like this cool accuracy stacking aura. That's really not any use in Faction Wars where you don't need accuracy. So she's staying just in C. Umatogi. Again, I'm putting Umatogi in the C tier. She is a damage dealer. Single target damage dealer, but she's not doing anything particularly good. She's not doing anything particularly exceptional or interesting. Her passive is the thing that makes me not put her in D, where she'll just ignore a hit. 100% of a hit, she just ignores the damage once per turn. Against bosses, she ignores 40% of the damage, so maybe she has some vague use. If you're desperate for a damage dealer, she could be okay just for that passive, like against the boss, but it's a C tier placement. It's quite a stretch. Now, things are looking up, though. We've got Saki up next, or Sachi. I'm not actually sure how to say that. But Saki is actually going all the way up into the A tier again. We've got quite a divisive list so far. But Sachi is really good. Really, really good. She has an AoE attack on her A1 with decreased accuracy. So you could put her into something like a stun set, right? To get AoE stun set, help you through the waves. Her A2 puts decreased crit rate, 30%, and leech debuff. Again, this is going to be super good. It's on only 2-turn cooldown. This is a great ability against the boss. Leech to help you heal up, 30% decreased crit rate. The boss will just never crit your team. That's going to help you get through that. Then this is the big draw for her. You do need to book her out, but Shadow Ambush, down to a 3-turn cooldown, 50% increase attack buff, and then also attack one enemy, and give you 20% turn meter fill. So this is a Arbiter-esque ability, a Seeker-esque ability, just turn meter boosting you. Increased attack is really important to get the boss killed quickly to up your damage. So that's really worthwhile. She even does have a revive when she kills an enemy. I think that's going to be rare to happen, but yeah, I actually think that Sachi is really, really strong and well worth building. Fenshi is up next. Fenshi I'm actually going to put up in the B tier. We'll rearrange these tiers as we go as well so that champions are where they're supposed to be in order. But Fenshi I think is actually not too terrible. He's just a single target damage dealer, but he has decreased speed. He has some turn meter depletion. So I think against the boss who's gaining turn meter when you hurt him, that turn meter depletion is not bad. So I think Fenshi has a little bit going for him, much more than Shani or Umatogi. Next up, this might offend some people, Burangiri. People quite like him. I actually think he's only a B tier champion. So he's a support. He has AoE provoke. He can give your team strengthen, which is obviously very good to keep you alive. He even puts a shield on people that are low on health. I think it's okay, but the thing is, I'd much rather have Taragi or Hatatsu. I think they're much better. And we still haven't even looked at legendaries, guys. Bear that in mind. We're ranking these not off of just, the epics. We're ranking including legendaries. So Burangiri, he's only a B. New champion, Kunoichi, just added into the game. She actually goes up in the A tier. Again, another option, much like Taragi Hotatsu, and that's better than Burangiri. I think she's really strong for this. She's an A1 that can place weaken. That's quite nice. Hard debuff to get. Good against the boss. She has an AoE leech, actually, on a 4-turn cooldown, which I think is really cool. I think this is really cool. This is going to really help you get through tough waves. Like I don't know if there's going to be a Valkyrie wave, but if there is a Valkyrie wave, for example, having that leech debuff is going to really help you heal through, and again, good against the boss. Then these two abilities are fantastic. Interpose needs to be booked, but gives her ally protection on everyone and fills her turn meter. And then she also gets block damage whenever her health drops low. So she will protect your team, block damage on herself, weaken the boss, leech the boss, and help you get through. And also this stuff is great for keeping your team alive during the waves because we've no reviver. So I think Kunoichi is actually great. Next up, we have Chinoru. Chinoru is a login champion, and honestly, Chinoru, she's pretty rough. I'd probably put her in the C tier. I'd put her in C tier. I think if you're desperate for a damage dealer because there's not many AoE damage dealers in the non-voids here, as you can see, actually. So I think she does that. She's an AoE damage dealing epic that's maybe more accessible, so you might build her for that, but you'd really rather not build her. She's really not very good. I actually got mine up to 50, would you believe, when Shadowkin was first released, because I assumed the crypt would be opened within a couple of months or two. I said, you know what, I'll get her up. I'll develop her a little bit so she'll be ready to go. And now she's useless. Speaking of useless, next up we've Gory. Gory, to me, he's D tier. I wouldn't even bother. Single target damage dealer with freezes. So the freeze doesn't help you against the boss. Single target doesn't help you against the waves. He's terrible. Jurajin, again, another champion. Don't even bother building him. I think he's terrible. Masamoto, another support, and definitely the weakest of the supports so far. He gives you increased defense and some turn meter. He does AoE decrease attack. So I think he does have that stuff going for him. But there's a lot of other better supportive epics in here. If you're starting out, you could bring him up to 50 and have him be a decent support through the first part of Faction Wars. But you're going to be replacing him at one of these better epics sooner rather than later. And now we have an interesting... when I was making this list, I realized something interesting, which is Genbo and Oboro, right? Genbo and Oboro. What do we not have so far, really, in this, with these champions? We've got really good supports, but we don't have much going for us in terms of damage. It's actually quite lacking. I'm actually going to put Oboro up in the B tier. We'll rearrange this as we go. She's better than Fenchi, of course. So she's a single target, mostly void damage dealer. She gives herself Perfect Veil, and she also gives herself Revive on Death. When she gets Perfect Veil. If she attacks an enemy with multiple debuffs on them, she can actually do AoE attacks with her A1, possibly a very good combo because we've got quite a few debuffs, especially with Taragi applying poisons. So we do have some options there. I think she's pretty good, Getting Perfect Veil and Revive on Death will help you with that last boss. She hits hard. I think Oboro is an okay option. And Genbo, I think in a similar vein, I put him up in the B tier as well. Genbo's more of an arena specialist. He basically does a massively hard-hitting AoE nuke, but he is very squishy. So I'm just not sure if you'll be able to keep him alive very easily. There's no reviver, so I'm worried that he's going to die. At least Oboro has some defenses. But Genbo, from the epics, is without question the best AoE damage dealer. But yeah, I think they're B tier. It's really the epic supports is where it's at. I'll quickly mention Taya. I don't really see her being much use. I'm going to put Taya in the C tier as well. I don't know. She's the Doom Tower epic. It's going to be forever till you get her. She does like some single target poison stuff. Maybe she'll be really good, but I don't really see anything much interesting with her kit, to be honest. So those are the epics. Right, let us dive in then to the legendaries. Ooh, the legendaries. These are the bigger champions, the harder hitters. First up, we have Jintoro. I feel like this is kind of difficult to place him. I think I'd actually going to be placing Jintoro maybe at the top of B. I'm not sure if he makes it through to the A tier. He's a very hard-hitting single-target damage dealer. I think I will put him at the bottom of the A tier, actually. The reason being that he does have a turn meter steal. He fully depletes the target's turn meter and takes it for himself on his A2, which I think is really good. He applies decreased defense and weaken on his A3. His A3 can hit multiple times and do huge damage, so potentially that could help you nuke the boss. Yeah, I actually think definitely he should be in the A tier. I think he's much better than these two damage dealers for it. I think he's solid. He has a nice attack in all battles aura, which is going to help you as well. So I think he's pretty good. Next up, we have Lady Kimmy. Lady Kimmy, of course, is going to be going into the A tier. No doubt about that. Again, we are going to rearrange these tiers in a second. I'll take a minute and rearrange them when we put all the champions into the tiers. Lady Kimmy, speed booster, decreases enemy turn meter, decreases their accuracy, removes their buffs. Lady Kimmy is just an amazing champion in general and super good here for Faction Wars as well. Ninja coming in, and there's really no question. If you have Ninja, if you got him as a login reward, he's obviously A tier. Ninja's amazing. Boss killer, puts out tons of damage, has an AoE freeze that also hits pretty damn hard on his A3 as well. Ninja's incredible, brings you crowd control, boss damage, nice debuffs. Yeah, Ninja is just the full package. Yoshi's an intriguing one. The question for me that is really going to come down to is Yoshi versus Sachi. This is I think this is one of the big debates of this faction. Yoshi brings an AoE fear True Fear, AoE True Fear, that also increases your attack and increases your accuracy in his A3. So that's, his move is probably overall better than Sachi, right? Because he brings you that AoE crowd control as well. Increased accuracy is good. And I feel like we really do want either Yoshi or Sachi in there to increase attack for Ninja or for Genbo or whoever you happen to have in to actually do your damage. You're going to need one of them, I think. But which one is better? Sachi's probably better against the bosses because she brings you guaranteed leech, which is really good. Yoshi brings HP burn, which isn't quite as good. It's a bit of a toss-up. We'll come back to that in a second. But Yoshi, he's certainly A tier. He's very, very strong. Next up, we have Noble. Noble is going in the D tier. I think the best use for Noble is to feed him into Ninja. If you didn't get Ninja and you have Noble, it's probably best to just hope that they bring some sort of Ninja thing back in the future. I'm sorry, but that's true. Genzen, he's going into the A tier. I think he's actually the only source of AoE decreased defense in this faction right now. He hits hard. He boosts his turn meter a whole ton. Genzen is very, very good. Yeah, he's really good. Very underrated champion, and he's going to be great, especially for speed clearing. Kyoku, really no question here, guys. Kyoku's coming in. The A tier is getting a bit over full. Let's overlap them a little bit. Kyoku is going to be in the A tier, no question. AoE decrease attack, weaken on her A1, ally protection as well. Let's actually jump in. I forgot, I was supposed to be showing you these guys, showing you their features, haven't I? Who have I missed? I've missed the legendaries, basically. But yeah, Jintoro, this is what he's doing. Stealing turn meter, really nice. Kimmy, she's coming in, decreasing accuracy, decreased speed, increases speed and accuracy, fills turn meter. Kimmy's amazing. Ninja, hail burn, smashes bosses. Cyan Slash, freezes waves. This one places decreased defense, single target. Yoshi's got the increased attack, increased accuracy with the AoE True Fear. Noble's bad. Genzen, AoE decreased defense and filling his turn meter. Kyoku then coming in, weaken on the A1, decrease attack, alternatively possible HP burn, AoE as well. Then ally protection for 2 turns, block damage on herself as well. And then whenever she's hit with a critical hit, she'll heal everyone by 15% of their max HP, give increased defense, which is not too bad. So I think Kyoku is very, very good. Next up, we have Gamoran. Gamoran, I'm really not sure about this guy. I'm going to put him like, maybe he goes in the B tier. Like, he does weird stuff. I'm really not sure. I'm not rushing out to build him. I wouldn't be rushing out to get him at all. He's a good bit below these other legendaries. He can block revive and stuff. I don't know if he's going to help you. He might even be C tier. I'll leave him in B for now, though. Riho coming in. Riho, there's no question here, guys. Riho, she's going straight up into A. What an amazing champion here. Riho. She has 42% attack and faction crypts aura. She puts continuous heals out. She has a ton of debuffs on a single target. And then she also has a full team cleanse that puts block debuffs, heals them, and heals them for even more for debuffs removed. And then she can instantly remove and transfer debuffs onto her attacker. So Riho, she's incredible. I'm going to talk about her more in a second, but Riho's incredible. And then finally, we've got the newest Void legendary to the game. I think Hell Hades, I saw, just put out a video this morning saying how terrible he is. Jingwan. Jingwan, honestly, I think he actually does belong in the B tier just because he is a Void HP legendary. He's kind of useless. The only thing really he's got going for him, he does have a good passive for against the boss where he'll remove either the True Fear or the stun from himself. He'd just be immune to them. And then he'll remove a True Fear or stun from one of your allies. I actually think that's pretty good. I think that's pretty good against this boss. He does have an AoE attack. He does decent single target damage for a HP-based hero. So, yeah, he's going to be, he's going to be a big meat shield. He's going to be a big HP tank. Put him in a shield set to protect your team. He'll do good enough damage to the boss while being very tanky. And his passive is good. Puts him in the B tier, but he's generally a pretty terrible champion, to be honest. So there we go. Now, we have the big decision. So let me rearrange these, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about that S tier. All right, so I've rearranged B, C, and D. This is basically how I think the faction boils down. Kind of some difficult choices, really, but I think certainly in terms of the B tier, I do think Oboro kind of stands out, and Burangiri is good. Genbo coming in a bit behind just because he's squishy. and then Jingwan. I am actually going to put him up sort of midway in the B tier, but that's my rough gist for those. But with all that covered, it's time for the main event. It's time for that S tier, the 5 best champions, right? Who are the 5 best that you would take in if you had access to all of them? And we'll rearrange the A tier after that, because we're obviously going to be taking all of these S tier champions, of course, are coming from the A tier as I have it set up right now. So the first champion going into S tier is, without any shadow of a doubt, in my opinion, the best champion for Shadowkin Faction Wars. Like, the best by a huge margin, actually. She's also going to be the leader slot for this faction, and that's Riho Bonespear. Riho, I think, is just insane for this faction. We jump... No, that's Jingwan, not Jingwan. Riho, please. Riho Bonespear absolutely looks incredible as well. But 42% ally attack in Faction Crypts is one of the most nutty auras I've ever seen. That is so good. Then the big thing, though, is this move right here is a game changer for this faction. I mean, remember, this boss is trying to put out an AoE stun and then True Fear on one person. He's trying to put that on your team. She puts block debuffs on your entire team. She can remove those debuffs as well. If she doesn't get to do it first, she can potentially remove those debuffs. Puts a huge heal out on your team as well. So good. Then she has all of these things: decrease attack, decrease defense, weaken, stun to get you through the waves as well. Continuous heals on her A1, which is just fantastic. Yeah, I think she's like the full package. She's going to do so much healing. She's going to protect you from debuffs, keep you alive through waves, through the boss. She's just a complete standout champion. She is so good, and that aura is so strong. I think she really has to go in there. In my number 2 slot, then, we're going to put in our main damage dealer. And I'm sorry if you weren't playing when he was released to the game, but it's Ninja. I think Ninja will go in there into the S tier as well. Ninja is just... I think he's the best damage dealer for this faction. He does bring you decreased defense against that boss, which is great. Fills his turn meter, so he's fast. This 3-hitter with HP burn and Perfect Veils himself gives some damage reduction. The Perfect Veil will rip through the boss. It does even really good damage against the waves. AoE freeze for the waves that hits hard, becomes an ignoring defense hit against the boss. And then escalation, just his damage scaling up over the course of each faction war battle. He's just so strong. He's definitely going in there. Like, you will have him built out no matter what. If you have Ninja, you have him built out because he's so good against so many bosses. And he's going to be your MVP damage dealer for Faction Wars. After that, we have to make... I think this is... For me, this is actually the toughest decision, which is we now need someone to give us increased attack, right? To up the damage of Ninja. And I think also, like, Riho will do a decent chunk of damage, and whoever we bring in to increase attack will do decent damage too. So I really think we've got to choose now between Sachi and Yoshi, and I think that's a tough call. It sort of depends on what ends up happening, whether the waves are tricky or how difficult that boss is. I think Sachi's a bit better against the boss. However, I do think that Yoshi is overall a bit stronger, and I'd probably put Yoshi in. Increasing accuracy is quite nice. It's going to mean that we could potentially even get away with several, well, these last couple of slots, we could bring in supportive champions, potentially even sacrifice some accuracy, have his increased accuracy carry us through, makes building your team much easier, especially for progressing through Faction Wars. The increased attack is great. AoE True Fear is really good as well. I think that you could easily put Sachi up instead, bringing that single target leech. I think that's really strong. And the turn meter boost she gives you, the increased attack, is very strong as well. So if someone was to say that Sachi goes up instead of Yoshi, I wouldn't argue with you. Honestly, I think they're both very good options. And this, for me, is by far the most difficult decision. Let me know what you think. For me, this is by far the most difficult decision. Next up, again, I think the best support to keep you alive, I think Taragi is going in there. Sorry, Yoshi's coming in. He's giving you increased attack, accuracy, True Fears. He can put out HP burn and decrease accuracy. He's got stunts on his A1. I think he's quite solid. Taragi and Epic actually beating out several legendaries to get in here. Provoke to get you through waves. Then he's got decreased attack for that boss, mitigate the damage coming in from the single target hits. And then this Bog Blessing is so strong. He's got tons of HP, so just build his HP up really high. He puts a huge shield and ally protection on all of your allies on a 3-turn cooldown. Heals himself as well. He's going to help your team stay alive against that boss. It's just like on another level. And then he's going to be bringing poisons on the boss as well to help you burn it down. Like, Taragi is so good. And for me, he's absolutely going in there. I actually think he comes before Kyoku for me. He actually comes before Kyoku simply because the shields that he puts out, I think, really does set him apart. I think it makes him a bit better. They're kind of close, though. And yeah, then for the final one, again, this is going to be something of a bold choice that might make some people go, what, you're crazy. I'm actually going to put in Genzen. I think Genzen goes into this top 5 as well. Genzen is coming in. He's really going to up the speed of that faction war. His AoE decreased defense. His A1 hits multiple times. He's filling his turn meter with this. He's filling his turn meter with this. Then he has this single target attack that, again, fills his turn meter tons. Fills it even more if he kills enemies. He's going to help you rip through waves. Yeah, he's going to help you rip through those waves really fast, knock them out. He's going to help you nuke down that boss as well with the decreased defense. So I think that Genzen well deserves a spot in here. And yeah, that leaves us then with these A tier. We've got some really good champions in here as well. Like I think you can see now when I split this tier list out how like it sort of breaks down. I probably would put Kyoku. I probably would put her in the first place here for her ally protection that she brings. I probably would put her up there. I think second place would probably be Kimmy. Would have to go in just because of all the speed and stuff that she's giving you. I think Kimmy would have to go in here. Then I think Sachi would go there. And then who did I cover up with Kimmy? Hotatsu. Ooh, Hotatsu. I actually think Hotatsu would probably come before Sachi. And then I think I would move Kunoichi probably down here. And then Sachi would probably be here. I think that's how I would order this. I think that's how I would order the A tier. I think that looks reasonably good. Maybe underrating Gentoro a little bit. Maybe he could go higher. I have Gentoro myself, so I will let you know when I beat Faction War 21. I'll show you my run, and you can see how Gentoro did. But yeah, this is how I think it breaks down. Guys, let me know. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Any major changes? What is your Faction War team? And let me know how it goes as well. Thank you for watching. I hope that you enjoyed. I hope that you have several of these S-tier champions because it's going to make your life a lot easier. I mean, I would love that Riho. Got 2 times Voids coming up this weekend. If I pulled a Riho, that would make my day. That would be incredible. But yeah, I mean, you can probably guess what my team is going to be, by the way, because you can just look at the portraits of the champions that I own. There's 5 of them that are here. I'm just worried with my team, these 5, that they might be a bit squishy. We might lose to the boss. So I might have to, you know, bring up Burangiri or hopefully pull Hotatsu Konoichi or something like that. I might lack on support. We will see when we get there, though. Right, I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.